Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the latest installment of the articles that I write. I am Margaret from Well Coach, and if you've been following me for a little while, you'll know that over the last few weeks, I've actually been reading to you each week an article that I write. Now, the one that I'm about to read came about because of the fact that I was going on my own 6-month coaching journey as a business owner, and there were some things that were coming up for me that I hadn't actually realized at all. And so, this article is all about that journey and the ecosystem that I was building that I didn't know about. So, make sure that you've got a hot beverage, sit back, enjoy, listen, whatever you do. I hope you enjoy this article, and I'd love to know what you think about it. Okay, let's get started. This one is called The Ecosystem I Didn't Know I Was Building. Over the past 6 months, I've spent a lot of time thinking about my business. Like many people starting something new, I thought my focus should be on refining my coaching offers, building a website, creating resources, and finding clients. Those things have all been important, and they've certainly helped shape Well Coach into what it is becoming. Recently, though, I've realized something that caught me by surprise. I don't think I've been building a business at all. I think I've been designing an ecosystem. That probably sounds like an odd thing to say, but it perfectly describes what has slowly been unfolding as I've reflected on the last 6 months. At first, I saw all the different parts of my life as separate. There was my coaching business, my family, my volunteer work with lacrosse, coffee conversations, networking, writing, learning, and everything else that fills my weeks. I was trying to balance them, almost as though each one competed with the others for my time and attention. The more I reflected, the more I realized that wasn't true. None of these things exist in isolation. They constantly influence one another in ways I hadn't fully appreciated before. A conversation over coffee becomes the inspiration for an article. An observation from the side of a lacrosse field becomes something I later explore with the leadership team. A coaching conversation quietly challenges my thinking and changes the way I volunteer. Even a quiet walk gives me the space to untangle ideas that eventually become workshops or tools. Everything is connected. That realization has changed the way I think about my business. And more importantly, it has changed the way I think about my life. For a long time, I believed I needed to separate everything into neat compartments. Work belonged in one box, family belonged in another. Volunteering was something I did outside of work. Learning happened whenever I could squeeze it into the gaps. Now I see something completely different. At the center of everything is not my business. It is not my family either. It is me. Not because I'm the most important part of that picture, but because I'm the one who moves between all of these different spaces. My energy, my values, my relationships influence every one of them. If I become exhausted, every part of my ecosystem feels it. If I lose sight of my values, every conversation changes. If I neglect my own well-being, eventually my coaching, my volunteering, my family, and my community will all pay the price. And that is why seasonal sustainability has become such an important part of my thinking. Living with an autoimmune condition has taught me that my energy naturally changes throughout the year. Winter asks something different of me than summer does. For years, I tried to push through those differences, believing that consistency meant showing up in exactly the same way every day. But I'm beginning to understand that sustainability doesn't come from ignoring my seasons, it comes from working with them. Instead of asking how I can do more, I now find myself asking a different question. How can I design a business that grows naturally from the life I want to live? That question has become far more interesting than asking how to grow a business. It's also challenged the way I think about success. Traditional business models often begin with customers, products, and revenue, and those things matter, of course, but I'm starting to believe they are not the foundation. For me, the foundation is purpose, values, relationships, contribution, having the capacity to continue doing meaningful work over many years. When those things are healthy, everything else grows from them. Looking back now, I realize that my family, my community, my volunteering, my learning, and my coaching were never separate streams. They've always been feeding one another. I simply hadn't stepped back far enough to see the whole river. Perhaps that is the business model I've been searching for all along. Not one built around constant growth, but one built around sustainability. One that recognizes that businesses are created by people and people are influenced by their relationships, their communities, their seasons, and the places they belong. Now, I don't think I have all the answers yet, and I suspect this idea will continue to evolve over time. But what I do know is that I no longer want to build a business that simply fits around my life. I want to build a life where everything that matters has room to flow together. To me, that feels like a far more sustainable way of working. And before I finish, I want to acknowledge someone who has quietly been part of this journey. Over the past 6 months, I've had the privilege of working with my business coach, Amy. Coaching is an interesting relationship because at its best, it isn't about someone giving you the answers. It is about creating a partnership where curiosity is shared, ideas are explored, and you begin to see your own thinking more clearly. Amy has gently challenged me to look at my world differently, but never through someone else's lens. She's always encouraged me to make sense of it in my own way, trusting that the answers needed to come from me rather than be given to me. I'm sure I would have found my way here eventually, but having someone walk alongside me, asking thoughtful questions, reflecting back what they saw, and creating the space for me to think deeply has helped me step into this new season with far more clarity, energy, and confidence than I would have had on my own. And for that, I am incredibly grateful. Sometimes the greatest gift a coach gives isn't a new direction. It's helping you recognize the one that it's helping you recognize the one that has quietly been taking shape all along. Thank you, Amy.